We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Yes, here we go. Follow the money. Paulie Howard, John Jastrzemski, VSiN, the sports betting network. A lot going on, and Mitch out till Tuesday in perfect timing. The concrete jungle. JJ filling in the next couple days. And the parade was today. Orange and blue skies. He was in the middle of it. The Yankees are on fire. The U.S. Open is in his backyard. World Cup going on right now. 0-0 detectors out with the Swiss and Bosnia. Great to see you, John. How are things going, my man?
Paulie, I'm doing fantastic. I did about 4 hours of television on SOI in New York, covering everything that you needed to see for the parade. First time in 53 years the New York Knickerbockers win a championship. But for Follow the Money and Paulie Howard, come on, this is legendary stuff right here. I am honored I get to co-host with you for the next 2 days. Hopefully I am not going to suck, and I'm going to deliver a whole lot of winners for the VSiN audience. Yeah. And I will throw a polo shirt on in the next segment, but I felt obligated after having a suit on for the better part of the last 4 hours that I had to honor and show some love to my favorite New York sports team, Paulie, since the 96 New York Yankees.
Very good. And you got the tickets and receipts to prove it as you jumped on the Knicks before the season. Did you have to use the bathroom? I mean, you went 2 hours without a commercial break. It's a little Scott Hansen here. You got to hold it.
You're absolutely right about that. Thankfully, I timed it in a way where I was able to, 10 minutes before the show, do what I needed to do at the urinal.
Yeah.
And ready to rock and roll. So that way, hey, the 2 hours while they're going down to Canyon of Heroes, smoking cigars, ripping tequila shots, partying with the New Yorkers across the way, I'm able to go and do my thing. And then once, I want to say Mike Breen hit the microphone as the MC, and I knew we were off the air, that was my moment of levity. But we got a lot cooking in New York City. I mean, I think the timing by Steve Cohen and Stephanie was impeccable, considering parade. The Yankees are by far and away the best team in the American League.
Yes.
The U.S. Open is at Shinnecock, and I'm already feeling some FOMO, Paulie, because I did not bet Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
And I thought long and hard about betting Rory McIlroy. He's not one of my favorites, but now that he's won this Masters in back-to-back years, I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like in many ways these tournaments now are so stress-free for him. It's a course that's very similar to what he might play in Ireland, in Scotland with all the wind, that he's a player that could go and thrive over the next few days.
Sure. All excellent points. I have FOMO as well. Are you surprised with the wind that we didn't have some absurd scores? That 2 under is the leader. Not a lot of guys made a mess of themselves out there. Sam Stevens is in the clubhouse at 2 under. He was 90-1 first-round leader, but we got a long ways to go. But are you surprised with the scores thus far that these guys are actually putting up respectable numbers, even though the wind's wreaking havoc?
So I'm not surprised because you have a lot of players, Paulie, who are very comfortable playing in these sort of conditions. I know when you're saying, hey, you're a golfer and you're dealing with 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds, that's not comfortable for anybody. I totally understand that. But what I'm talking about is, hey, guys have been, if you're playing courses on the beach, if you're playing courses in like British Open type conditions, you this is not your first rodeo. You've been there before. So that was one of the big elements I looked at with this tournament as far as guys that I liked. I wanted to make sure that, hey, when heavy winds have been a part of the calculus, and they absolutely were a part of the calculus at Shinnecock in round one, they will be maybe moving forward despite some warmer temperatures over the next couple of days. If you're a guy that the wind is going to get to you and it's problematic, I immediately cross you off the list.
Sure.
So, hopefully the guys that I have in the portfolio, as we sit here starting the show, follow the money, couple of minutes in, they'll be alive and well by Friday. And really what we hope for, Paulie, is that we can flirt on Sunday. And I don't know what your golf betting strategy is. I, for one, and listen, it's hard to get the outrights.
Oh, yeah.
I've hit a few earlier in the year. They're lottery tickets. But if you can get guys that you like, top 5, top 10, play them in matchups, that's my hope here to go and have a profitable U.S. Open.
Yeah. McIlroy, your favorite at 5-1. Scheffler, 9-1. Last check, he was 2 over for the tournament. John Rahm, 12-1. Fleetwood as even, and he's 16-1 along with Wyndham Clark and Schauffele about 20-1. The DeChambeau's going to go shortly, and it's a good leaderboard so far. Aaron Rise 1 under, Ben James, Greiserman. You don't see a lot of guys who blew up today. There was I think it was who was it at the back here? Koepka played well. He had plenty of birdie opportunities, but couldn't take advantage. Harris English 2 over, but there was Berger blew up and threw up all over himself at 7 over, and Cam Smith and Gotterup. Gotterup can go back to the bada bing. He was terrible at 5 over as well. So a couple guys taking themselves out of contention right away. Any other surprises jump out to you with the leaderboard?
I got to be honest with you, Paulie. I'm a little surprised with Gotterup. I didn't play him, but a lot of smart people that bet golf on a weekly basis that are like my golf guys, they were talking him up. Mm-hmm. Jersey guy, connection to Shinnecock. Right. He's played the course a ton. And he was playing some great golf earlier in the year, but it's a course that can get to you. And clearly it got to Gotterup. Surprises, nothing really stood out to me. As far as guys that I liked going into the tournament, I do not have any action on Rory McIlroy. The guys that I was in on, Fleetwood, I was in on Schauffele, I was in on Patrick Reed, and then I started hearing that every golf handicapper was in on Patrick Reed, which Paulie, the minute you start hearing that, it's the absolute kiss of death and it's absolute misery. So I didn't feel good about that. And the other guy I played was Matthew Fitzpatrick. Those are like my 4 guys that I'm kind of laddering up this week. So as far as the leaderboard, though, nothing really stood out to me that's incredibly surprising. And one note on Koepka, he has actually hit the ball extremely well this year. The problem he has run into in a lot of these tournaments, he cannot make a putt. My goodness, he can't make a putt. And if you're going to go and be in contention in the U.S. Open or any of these majors for that matter, if you're not putting, I'm sorry, you got no chance.
Yep. And he had several birdie putts on the back 9. There were a couple chances to get to 2 under, and then the wheels came off, and 3 over right now. Harris English 2 over, Straka 2 over, and McNeely 2 over. Fitzpatrick 1 over as well. Can't wait to get to the parade. Also, Real or Fugazi coming up. We'll talk NBA with Keith Smith. A lot coming up on the program. We had another draw to start the day with the World Cup. You are up 26 units if you bet the draw in every match. Czech scored 6 minutes in, and then they shut it down. Nothing the rest of the way. Goal in the first 10 was plus 450. Exact score 1-1 plus 650. Draw plus 275. BTTS is now 18-7 for the tournament, both teams to score. And there's another incredible trend. If you bet the underdog to score, that is now 18-4 so far in the tournament. The underdog to score. And now we're at halftime, and I got to have it game for the Swiss. They were minus 180. It's 0-0 against Bosnia, and the total is 1.5. Swiss minus 180. 170 in that range to win, and they got to get 3 points in this one. And following this, coming up in Vancouver at 3 o'clock Pacific, will be Canada and Qatar. Qatar plus a goal and a half is popular. 10 of the last 11 matches with Canada have gone under 2.5, and they are over a $3 favorite in this one. So these are 2 games here, 2 matches that the Swiss and Canada got to have it, or it's going to be over. Probably for these clubs. Anything stick out today with soccer that you think of, JJ?
I'm so glad you brought this up, Paulie, because I do the VSiN Weekend Morning Line now every Sunday with our pal Will Hill. And he has been texting me these parlays that he's throwing in with these draws.
Yes.
And I mentioned the FOMO that I had not getting in on Rory McIlroy. Paulie, what am I doing with myself? How am I not blindly betting these, for goodness sakes? I'm missing out on such golden opportunities.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned it. Hey, it's been draw city at the World Cup. And that trend, I did not know about these underdog teams scoring here.
Yep.
You just told me it's 18-4 in the last 22?
Yes. That's a good nugget.
Have you been taking advantage? Here's the better question, Paulie. Have you been taking advantage of this?
I was late with the draw, and I didn't know about the underdog trend till last night. But the BTTS kept cashing. We've been updating that every single day, and that's usually a small plus price.
Here's my question to you now, Paulie. Do I hop on now? And I'm not going to pretend to be some soccer betting expert. I am not. Like, it is not my forte. I get into it for the World Cup. I start dabbling for the World Cup. So I don't want anybody out there in a VSiN audience to think that John Jastrzemski is some astute soccer handicapper. I am not. But my question to you, is it too late now to hop on this trend? Or is it one of those situations because we were not there for the wedding, we all of a sudden don't want to be showing up for the funeral? Like, where do I stand on this?
I think you're fine if you jump in now with the draws, and I think you're fine with the underdog scoring. I think the big story has been all the goals that have happened, especially what's going on at the hydration breaks. But I think you'll be fine if you jump in and the draws continue, as these have been tight matches, and you get that 13-1 shot that came in with Spain to start the party. Follow the money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. A lot to get to coming up. I can't wait to recap the parade. Brunson went after people today. The cops tried to arrest a player. You won't believe it. John was in the middle of all of it. And how about this? The misery continues, where this team just got swept, and they're on pace to lose 100 games. All that coming up next, and where's Giannis going to go? On VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158, Downtown Circa, where it all goes down. All that straight ahead. Stay tuned. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Still 0-0, Switzerland and Bosnia. 70th minute draw down to plus 115. Incredible. And Bosnia 8-1 in play. Canada and Qatar coming up. Paulie Howard and John Jastrzemski back on the program. Keith Smith joins us now at Keith Smith NBA on X. He's on the Progressive guest line. Draft on Tuesday. The Giannis rumors, the Trae Young news. A lot to get into. Keith, appreciate the time. How you been, pal?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So I'm surprised Miami hasn't pulled the trigger yet. I think it's an incredible package that they're offering for Giannis. I know they were hot and heavy at the deadline, and Milwaukee didn't want to play ball. What do you think of the offer and the chances that the Heat and Riley can pull this off?
Yeah, I think it's the other way. I think it's Milwaukee who hasn't said yes to that offer. I think the Bucks are looking for more. It's, when you're trading Giannis, you can only trade Giannis once, right? So you got to get it right. You're not going to rush it. You don't need to go into it. And I think for the Bucks, you're looking at it as Tyler Hero has no value to them. They're not going to be good. And I know everybody says, well, they can flip him in the next trade. Miami's been trying to trade him for 3 years now. Hasn't been able to find a deal, so we'll see. Nikola Jovic's contract looks a little questionable with his production. So Jaquez and Ware are good young players, but Jaquez needs a new contract either this summer or next. Ware is right behind that, and they're good young players, but they're not like top tier picks. And those draft picks that are coming their way, if you're the Bucks, you're kind of, I don't know how good those picks are going to be. So I think if you're Milwaukee, that's why we're hearing Boston is involved, and they're still searching out other teams, because I think they're looking at it and saying that Miami offer, it's just not enough.
Okay, so what are the chances then he stays put? Is that possible?
I don't think it's going to be, because I think when push comes to shove, it'll be, all right, we have to go, because they can't live through another season like they just went through, where it was, every 3 days there's a new trade rumor, trade request, kind of, sort of, but not really, and telling guys, I don't want traded, I love it here, while, on the backside, guys are like, we all know he doesn't want to be here anymore. It just gets far too messy. So I think we're going to be in a position where we do see a move get made eventually, but I think Milwaukee's going to slow play this if they need to.
Okay, Keith, there's been a lot of rumblings regarding the Celtics. Paulie just brought up the Miami Heat. What about the Oklahoma City Thunder? I know it sounds crazy. I know people will make the argument the rich go and get richer. They have a ton to work with as far as picks are concerned. They could, dare I say, dangle Chet Holmgren if that's something they wanted to do. Do you get a sense Oklahoma City could be in on the Giannis sweepstakes?
I don't. I just don't think for them it makes sense. I think they know, hey, we're already good enough without this guy. And we don't necessarily need to go this direction. It would be, they're already expensive. They would be even more expensive with Giannis. And then eventually something gives. Yeah, you'd have to start to bleed out other talent. And I think they also know he's not necessarily a great fit for them the way they play. I know that feels like it's crazy because it's Giannis, but SGA has the ball a lot. Jalen Williams has the ball a lot. Giannis is not a guy who does very well when it's just, hey, stand over there and it'll come your way eventually. That's why, he struggled when he was with Damian Lillard in the lights. He needs to be with, on a team where he can have the ball a lot and other guys can play off ball, and the Thunder aren't really set up that way.
Fair enough. Okay, you got to help me with the odds for next year's title. I totally understand San Antonio and OKC 1 and 2. Makes sense. They're loaded. They're young. San Antonio's barely scratched the surface. OKC, in theory, should be much healthier than what they were at the end of the postseason. But you got to make sense of this to me. How are the Celtics ahead of the Knicks? I understand I'm from New York. I understand I'm still basking in the glory of the Knicks winning their first title in 53 years. But, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong. The Knicks beat the Celtics in the playoffs 2 years ago. They match up extremely well with Boston. Why are the odds makers looking at Boston now and they're jacking them up? Is it because of Giannis? Like, is that where this is coming from? Because, hey, if it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I'm telling you right now, Knicks Celtics, I'm unloading on the Knicks at a serious price. I can't wait to make that bet.
Yeah, I got to believe there's two parts to that. One is maybe they do get Giannis, and that would change things pretty significantly for them. Then I think the other part is just the fact they're always there. They even last year, when they weren't supposed to be very good, they were still the second best team in the East in the regular season. So I think that's why it's, hey, they're always there. If you listen to Brad Stevens' press conference at the end of the regular season,
right?
He was, the end of the playoffs, he was mad. He was upset. He was like, this isn't good enough. We're bad. Like we weren't good enough against the good teams. Like none of this is good enough. And that's why I think there's the sense of they're either involved on Giannis or they're working on something that like nobody sees coming. That's going to be kind of like they did a couple years ago when they loaded up with Porzingis and Holiday and went after it that way. I think that's probably why they're up there.
Well, I agree with them. And I don't like this shooting 53s a game business either. At Paulie Market, he's 48% to go to Boston. He's 47% to go to Miami. Where do you think Giannis winds up, Keith?
I do think it'll ultimately be Miami. I just think Miami is the team that is most directly connected to him. We know what their offer is. If they're holding anything back in the offer, they can always add to it. If Miami can always go and work on, all right, if you don't want Tyler Hero, maybe we can find a third team that'll take Tyler Hero and then route something else towards the Bucks way. So I think it will be Miami when all is said and done. But if it's Boston, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, that came out of nowhere, because it's obviously I very much believe where there's smoke, there's at least a little bit of fire.
Follow the money, Paulie and Johnny, the Sports Betting Network. He's Smart, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line with Spot Track. Check out his podcast as well, NBA insider and writer. Draft is Tuesday. Can Boozer go number 2?
He can. I don't think he's going to. I think it's going to be A.J. Debonta or Darren Peterson. I think that's the choice that the Wizards are making at number 1. There's been some thought to maybe the Jazz trade up. And that's why Debonta shut it down after only meeting with the Wizards. Maybe the Jazz will trade up to get Debonta, who we all know they would love to have. There is a connection with Cam Boozer. His dad works for the Jazz. He played for the Jazz. So there is that there, but it does feel a little bit more like the way the Angels work when they run it. When they have a player, they're not going to let other stuff get in their way, and they don't care if Darren Peterson meets with them at all. They didn't meet with Ace Bailey for a minute last year before the draft, and they took him without hesitation. So I think it'll be Debonta Peterson 1-2 off the board.
Okay, Keith, the most fascinating draft storyline for you is what?
After the top 4, what happens with that 5th pick with the Clippers? Do they keep it? Do they take somebody and start to maybe go a little bit in a youth movement around Kawhi Leonard? It seems very clear they're not going to trade him. Steve Ballmer has batted that away. There's still the open investigation. Nobody knows what's going to happen with that. We haven't heard anything other than Adam Silver during the finals say, it needs to get wrapped up soon. Like, everybody needs to know what's going on, but that's still open. And then I think for me, it becomes the next group of players, they're all guards. It's Darius Acuff, it's Keaton Wagler, it's Kingston Flemings, Mikal Brown Jr. It's this long group of guards. And, how is that going to work out? Because some of those teams, like Brooklyn, for example, at 6, just drafted a bunch of guards a year ago. They don't necessarily need another guard. I'm very curious. I think once we get through the top 4, it's going to be open season for trades, and we might see a lot of trade movement up and down the board.
Keith, the future bet I made, I got it. It's juicy. And I know there are questions about this team. I think the Indiana Pacers are going to bounce back in a huge way next year. This is a team that went to Game 7 in the NBA Finals 2 years ago. I grabbed them at 40-1. I know they didn't get the draft luck they were hoping for in the lottery. Do you expect the Pacers to be a major factor next year in the East?
Yeah, I think they're going to be awesome. As long as Halliburton's ready to go and there are no real indications that he shouldn't be, they're going to be great. They're going to be the team that they were a couple years ago, and then they're going to have Ivica Zubac in the middle, so a much better defensive presence than what they had before. And I think they'll look back on it, some of the reps some of their younger players got over this course of this year. It should only help them. So I'm absolutely with you. I think they're going to be a major factor. I think the East as a whole is coming around, and I think the Eastern Conference is going to look really good next year when you kind of compare it to the West after years and years of, these East teams hearing about, the West is such a bloodbath when, in the finals, the East teams tend to do pretty good. They've done all right when they get there.
Excellent work, my friend. Enjoy the draft, and we'll talk soon. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Keith Smith with the NBA, at Keith Smith NBA with Spot Track on X on the Progressive Guest Line. I like your Pacer bet. No one's talking about him. And I am with you as well. The Celtics can't have better odds than the Knicks. That is outrageous. And I'm not saying the Knicks should be the favorites because OKC will reload and the Spurs will probably make some moves. But Dolan says we want to run it back. And the Knicks are going to be a force next year as well. Swiss on the board. 1-0 in the 80th minute. Up next, win some, lose some big tickets cash last night, and it happened down the street at the Westgate for the second time, and this only took 3 minutes. We'll tell you what that is next on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
All right, getting ready for Canada and Qatar. We'll keep you up to date as they're ready to get started in Vancouver. And total of 2.5, Canada minus 370. And more on Mexico and South Korea coming up. We'll talk to the butcher, the meat man, Steve Wiss, later in the program. Paulie Howard and John Jastrzemski and JJ doing a great job. Coming off 4 hours covering the parade, lived up to the hype. He had the future ticket to back it up before the season. Knicks 15-1, and the 4 hours of coverage, and the Knicks get it done. And I think the highlight, JJ, was the guy ordering 100 sandwiches from Chick-fil-A right in the middle of it. What a tough assignment for the delivery
I
guy.
felt bad for this poor Chick-fil-A guy. Like, how do you not deny that Uber Eats request? Unless, of course, whoever ordered the ridiculous order of Chick-fil-A goes and tips handsomely. If you go and tip handsomely, then you know what? The poor delivery guy gets his money's worth. But, I mean, would you want to be that guy or gal going through that scrum carrying Chick-fil-A to a bunch of drunk idiots on a parade?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, no kidding. That is a tough assignment. Unbelievable. Brutal. But excellent job by everyone involved, and they behaved themselves so far as well. Kelly Bidlin joins us now from Long Shots, and to talk a little golf. He's on the Progressive guest line. Or we can look at him either way. So a lot of surprises. I thought we'd see carnage because of the wind, and it appears it's died down a little, and the guys going out late have had some success. But a four-way tie at 2 under, and an amateur among them was Schauffele, Clark, and Sam Stevens. Your thoughts, my man, on what's transpired thus far?
Yeah, good to be with you guys. Ryder Cowan up there, that amateur that is tied at 2 under, Paul. Yeah, it's been interesting, man. And this is where it always gets dangerous trying to handicap weather if you go too far.
Yeah.
I was trying to stay patient with that heading into yesterday, last night, and then I finally flipped open the weather last night, and I'm like, all right, like there's gonna be an advantage in the morning. Nobody saw a 2-hour fog delay come in here this morning, and that's really what has shifted everything. And yeah, we've got some guys going out in the afternoon that are scoring here now, Paul. It's still pretty windy out there. The sun's broken through a bit. The immediate post-round reaction from a lot of players is that these greens are far more receptive than what they've seen at this course in the past.
Yeah.
And I would expect that's probably going to change here over the next couple days. And they probably set it up that way on purpose, expecting some heavy winds. But I'm curious to see if this scoring this afternoon can really keep up. I would expect some of this to die off.
Okay. Are there some guys that you want to fade going into tomorrow? Because we mentioned it earlier. Koepka had so many birdie opportunities, and I think we got to 2 under, or several chances to get to 2 under. Wheels came off. He's 3 over. Adam Scott, wheels came off. He's 3 over. Spawn had a horrible round. Are there guys that you want to fade tomorrow?
Yeah, there really are. I just pulled up some of these putting stats and who are these guys that can keep it going. You know, Sam Stevens, 2 under par, gained almost 3 strokes over the field with the putter. These are usually what we look to for regression in it. Just like shooting in basketball, we look for those putters either to get better if they are traditionally better putters, or get a little bit worse if they're traditionally worse. So I would think he's going to come back to the pack a little bit. Meanwhile, like there's a Patrick Reed up there who putted well today, but that's what Patrick Reed does. So I don't really think he's a guy that you're going to see too much of a fall off with. That is the one that jumps out to me the most. Rory's up there too. I mean, he had the second best day putting, but Rory's a guy that can get the flat stick rolling for a tournament. So I'm not rushing to really look at that. We'll see if Gary Woodland can keep this round up. He's another guy who's I liked heading into this week, but it's been all putting how he's been getting it done so far. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up with that club.
Kelly, I want to throw 4 names at you. I targeted them at the start of this tournament. Xander Schauffele, who's won the U.S. Open before. Patrick Reed, because I thought he'd play well in these sort of conditions. And, of course, like Shinnecock, I thought was kind of tailor-made to his game. And then I looked at Fitzpatrick and I looked at Fleetwood. I give you those 4. Obviously, Schauffele's off to the best start. But going into this thing, as far as how you felt about the 4 going into Shinnecock, who out of that group did you like the best?
Yeah, John, I'll tell you, it was actually my last ad yesterday, and it was, I couldn't get over yet. You kept hearing all the Xander stuff all week.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's never finished worse than 14th at the U.S. Open. Well, his major record is ridiculous. I get it. We were looking at top 20s here in town at minus 110. That was kind of the bet I was primed to make last night. Just kind of started digging into some of his stats over the past few tournaments. It's just, you're not used to seeing Xander Schauffele struggle on approach, and he has for a couple tournaments heading into this, not severely, but a little bit. And it was enough for me to take my attention off of him. And I'll tell you, John, it was Matt Fitzpatrick, who I have been high on, was very high on heading into this season, was able to make some really good money off him at the beginning of the year when he was playing really well. And this was kind of the first major where heading into it, I really didn't think I was going to have any interest in Matt Fitzpatrick, and ended up over the course of the days and research and pouring it in, loving Matt Fitzpatrick this week. So I ended up playing a top 20 play on him. So really, to answer your question, it would be Fitzpatrick going forward amongst that group. I think the Patrick Reed logic makes all the sense in the world. And just so much data driven of betting that I'm doing. And Patrick Reed is just not playing that much right now. So I usually like to look for these guys that are in better recent form as they head into the major. So Patrick Reed didn't really check that box for me, but completely understand why you would be loving betting him this week.
So speaking of a golfer who's not played particularly well, there's Bryson DeChambeau, who has been embarrassing in these majors. He was awful at Augusta. He was awful at the PGA Championship. And Kelly, going into this thing, I want nothing to do with Bryson. Like, no thanks. I'm trying to fade him in matchups. I'm not taking him anywhere near top 10, top 5, and outright forget about it. That said, off to a hot start, gets to 2 on the par, gives it back. Now he's at even. Were you selling a ton of Bryson stock as well for this particular tournament?
Yeah, it's one of those, I think there's the difference, right, between not buying and actually selling, right? You can go and bet against these guys in matchups, and then there's guys you can just kind of stay away from. I would have said, John, if this was kind of what numbers that we had saw on Bryson a week ago, I mean, he was 14-15 to 1 for a U.S. Open a week and a half ago. If those were the numbers that we were dealing with and the appropriate numbers in matchup markets and stuff were there, yeah, I would have been targeting him. But he very quickly got long. I mean, he was near 30 to 1 at some shops when he teed off. So I think the number got to a place where it was appropriate, and honestly might have swung too far. I think I was one of those people that saw him make those couple birdies earlier, and it's like, oh, we might have let this Bryson number go a little too far. He's still a very talented guy. I get it, doesn't have the form that we were usually looking for with golfers rolling into a major, plus not exactly the perfect course setup for his game, but still one of the class players in the world. There's always a number, right, fellas? There's always odds that you can drift a guy out far enough that he's going to become intriguing from a betting standpoint.
How do you feel about Scotty, who's 2 over and 10 to 1 to win it, 4 shots back?
Yeah, Paul, I like him. I was on him heading into the tournament, had to dial back bet size just a little bit because didn't know what we were going to get with the wind heading into today and the conditions this morning, this afternoon. Kind of glad I held back some, but I'll probably be looking to get back in on him live here at some point. I do think that he'll be okay going forward. I think it was tougher here this morning. I think we'll hear more from these guys as they get done with their rounds, why that was the case. I know the green speeds did catch up and surprise some of these guys here this morning and this afternoon. I think Scheffler will be okay, though. He was battling with it in the toughest of times with the rest of these guys. I think he'll be okay. He was still my top-rated guy, not even close heading into this. I know he doesn't have the wins this season, the one at the American Express back in January, but man, he is still by far the best statistical player on the face of the earth. And I thought him getting out to 6 to 1 was absurd. We haven't seen that number in years. So I couldn't lay off it then. I'm going to see where some of these books adjust things after the first round, but I might be back in on a little bit of Scotty after.
Morikawa, 1 under. He's through 8. Do you have you want a mulligan on anybody or any regrets on what you did in the first round?
Well, you pointed out one. I mean, a couple of regrets would be Siwoo Kim. I loaded up on Siwoo Kim. He's one near the bottom of the leaderboard. That one was not good. But you brought up Morikawa. I'm glad you did, Paul, because he was a guy on injury watch. Him, Brooks Koepka. We had a few of these guys on injury watch. Now, if his live numbers are correlating to what we saw before the tournament, I think he's a perfect candidate to jump in live. I mean, what he was doing at the beginning of the season on approach, he was having the best approach season out there. So now he's had plenty of time to get back from this injury. It's just tough with golf. We don't get standardized injury reporting. We have to kind of take these guys' word for it and trust our own eyes with what we see. So I think, is a perfect live betting candidate this week. If you were interested in Morikawa at long numbers before the tournament, no problem waiting a round and a half to see how he's playing. Might get a worse price. Fine. You're more confident, though, in his health.
Excellent, my
Kelly,
man. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's fascinating, too. McIlroy, now that he's won these back-to-back Masters, the pressure's off. He can play so free and loose. Yep. That's a scary thing when you're talented as Rory McIlroy. I didn't bet him. I didn't play him at all. He's got conditions that are similar to what he might get in Scotland or in Ireland. Just a little food for thought with the wind.
Oh, totally. I thought one of the other interesting stats heading into this tournament was a lot of people were talking about Cameron Smith. He had a couple good tournaments recently. And when you looked at best guys that were top 5, both around the green and on in putting stats, Cameron Smith was one of them. The only other guy in this field was Rory McIlroy, and that is not something that we usually think about Rory with. So totally with you there, JJ. Watch out for Rory going forward, and hey, take it easy on Tyler Kolek. Why'd you have to call him out in the crowd today, man? Like, he's just a player.
Hey, listen, I feel for Tyler. You can't look like an Upper East Side frat bro. I mean, the poor officer's got to do a little more homework on the team. You know what I mean? That's like one of the politicians. Great. One of the politicians today called Jalen Brunson Jalen Brown. It was not the New York City mayor, so I'm not going to roast Donnie. It was somebody else. I'm like, come on, man. You got to get it right. Let's go.
Oh, it's a bad beat. That is sick. Thanks, Kelly. Enjoy the tournament.
Yep. Thanks, fellas.
Excellent. Sam Stevens, Wyndham Clark, 2 under. Rory, Harman, a plethora of guys at 1 under. Aaron Rai, Morikawa, ton of guys still out there as well. Sam Stevens was 90-1. First-round leader. See if he can get it done. The other 2 guys are still out there. Up next, the Yankees in action coming up. And this gal has taken a lot of abuse. She's putting up big numbers. I think it's time to jump in tonight.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, the under on life support early. Canada with another one, another banger. 2-0 against Qatar. And so far, the gotta-have-it games, these teams have showed up and shown out. Great performance for the Swiss earlier. They needed it. They won 4-1. And Canada leads 2-0 against Qatar. And it's in the 29th minute. Mexico and South Korea coming up. And for more on that, in USA and Australia, it's our friend Steve Wiss. Because We Win pod every morning at 11 Eastern. They do a great job through the World Cup with our friend Nigel. Because We Win is on the Progressive guest line, and he joins us now. Thanks to the time, my friend. And I'm shocked by all the goals, Steve. I can't believe I have both teams to score at now 19-7. We know the story of the draws, which has been incredible. You're up 25 units blindly betting the draws, but I can't believe all the goals.
Yeah, I think one thing we do have to say is the defending's not been very good, has it, really, at times? I mean, Qatar here, Canada are rocking and rolling, and they could have had 3 or 4 by now. The defending's not been very good. There's been some good goals as well. I mean, look at that goal Bosnia scored earlier. An absolute banger. Mm-hmm. So at the minute, the offenses are on top, but I think a lot depends where the venue is. These indoor venues are tending to get a lot of goals in them, but you know, the heat's going to come in on the East Coast before the end of this tournament, and that's when we've got to watch out for maybe some unders. Okay, interesting angle. More on that coming up. Well, how do you see Mexico and South Korea? They played last year. It was a 2-2 draw. What do you think here? And if total 2.5, obviously. It's a tough game, actually. I'm kind of torn between the over-under, and on the money line options, it'd be Mexico or nothing for me, I think. But I'm passing on that. So I'm looking into the player props market for this game, and both teams have got a standout striker, Raul Jimenez for Mexico. He scored in the opening game, and then of course Son Heung-min for South Korea, formerly Tottenham Hotspur, and I think those 2 strikers could get on the scoreboard here. But let's just take them in an SGP to have over 0.5 shots on target each, so we don't need them to score. Just hit the target once each, and you're going to get plus money anywhere for this SGP, plus 115 actually. So I think that's a good way to go, because we should get a decent offensive game. Even if the goals don't flow, these guys should be hitting the target at least. Son had 6 shots in the first game, so we know he's shooting. And Raul Jimenez, he's going to be confident after netting in the opener. So I like that SGP here.
Steve, let's hit the United States. They look tremendous in their first World Cup game. They're at minus 170 against the Aussies. If you want to bet a draw, it's at plus 340. Do you expect the same sort of ease for Team USA in their second World Cup game, or is this going to be a far stiffer challenge?
I don't think it's going to be so easy, John. I think Australia are going to defend a lot better than what Paraguay did. Australia are going to park the bus a bit and limit the space that the USA are going to have. And this is a big test for the manager, Mauricio Pochettino, who in the past has struggled to break down low blocks when he was at club management at PSG, at Spurs, and certainly at Chelsea, he struggled there. So I think the US fans are going to have to be patient. I think they will find a way to win the game in the end, and Australia might tire. USA are a very impressive physical team. They've got great engine and stamina. So with that in mind, I like a bet here in the corners market, actually, over 9.5 corners, with the main reason being that I think they're going to have a lot of pressure in the match, the US. It might take them some time to score a goal. That usually yields corners, shooting more, stretching the game out wide, and the Australian defending might be desperate to put it behind. So that's my angle here, over 9.5 corners, at plus money. It'll probably maybe take the US an hour to score, eventually get the job done, maybe 1-0, 2-0.
Okay.
Paulie hit on this. The draws have been insane to start off this World Cup. And I have to be honest, I've been missing the boat on this. Is this one of these trends that I'm going to have to let go by and I miss the opportunity? Or do you think we can see a similar script in a lot of these games playing out over the next few where I can really capitalize and make some good winners and find some good cash here and a whole lot of plus money opportunities?
I think the problem is that as the group stage develops, teams will be more desperate where a draw is not good enough for them. So they're going to have to be more aggressive and go for the win. So we might have missed the boat. But what has changed with the dynamics is the third place teams qualify now. That never used to happen in the World Cup. Now, the first time they brought in the third place teams to qualify in the European Championships, I do believe 42% of the group games ended in a draw. So maybe we should have gone with that trend and backed the draws blind in the group stage. But perhaps that ship has slightly sailed now.
All right. Meet man, our guest, Steve Wyss, on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow the money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You came heavy. You are a ton of picks here. We got more to get to. So we start the day tomorrow with USA and Australia. Then it's Scotland and Morocco. How about Morocco, $1.30?
I'm taking them. I'm taking Morocco here. Best team in Africa, along with Senegal, against a Scotland team that only just beat Haiti. Haiti could have easily sneaked a draw out of that one. And Scotland have got the result they needed there. They got the win that should get them into the last 32. So I think now it's all about damage limitation for them. They don't mind losing a small match like 1-0, 2-0. And it's going to be in Foxborough tomorrow, 6 p.m. kickoff. It could be quite hot for the Scots, this one. It's not going to be later in the night like it was before. And I think Morocco have a big advantage there. So I'm taking a simple one, Morocco money line. I think anything minus 150 or better is a good bet.
Sounds good. After that, Brazil and Haiti, over 3.5 goals.
I think it's time Brazil entertained, isn't it? They've had a bit of criticism, not just in the first match, but in the build-up to the whole World Cup. They need to silence their doubters here. This is the chance to do it. Actually, I think Haiti are better than some people think, and they might even get a goal here because they might as well have a go. They've lost to Scotland now. The only chance they've got is they're going to have to beat Morocco or Brazil. They've got to swing hard, and I think Brazil have got the offense to really take them to the cleaners, as we say over here. So Brazil could cover the goal line all on their own, over 3.5 goals at minus 125, and we know they're going to want to rack up the score. They're not just going to stop at 1-0 Brazil. So they're an entertaining team. Haiti might get on the score sheet. A clear over for me.
How about the late match? Turkey and Paraguay. You want to go side and total here?
Yeah, 2 bets. I think we're going to get a bit of a crazy game, a really mental game, actually, because Turkey, when they're involved, you kind of get a lot of action, franticness. They've lost to the Aussies, so they're a bit like a corner dog here, Turkey, and I think they'll come out pretty hard biting, actually. Paraguay were really poor, weren't they, against the US? They're under a lot of pressure in this group now. They don't have a good record on US soil in the competitions they've had over here. Defense looked all over the place. So for me, Turkey win it. I think Turkey are a good bet at even money, and I think over 2.5 goals looks a banging bet at plus 120. This is one of it's the last kickoff in the day tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So and a lot of these late games have had a lot of goals in them, Paulie. And I think it's nice conditions to have it. Both teams lost the opener. They've got to go for it. Probably Turkey winning both teams to score, actually. But if Paraguay don't score, Turkey are capable of scoring 3 on their own. So, yeah, I'll go for everything overs in this game. Offense, Turkey, get the job done for me.
Okay, Steve, I have a ticket on the Dutch to go and win this World Cup. It's a juicy price. I know it's asking a lot. They're not one of the favorites, but they're always a factor in this thing. Against the Swedes on Saturday, the Dutch at minus 135, the Swedes juicy juicy plus 370, and a draw plus 280. Any thoughts on the Netherlands and Sweden Saturday in the afternoon?
I think this could be one of your draws, John. This is a draw would be a good result for Sweden. And I think the Netherlands have got a nice match to finish with in the group against Tunisia. So this could be actually, I don't know if it's going to be high scoring or low scoring. If it was 0-0 or 2-2, I'm not going to be surprised either way. But I think both teams cancel each other out. And you could get a bit of value back in that draw in this one.
He had a great point before the interview about the weather and how you touched on it briefly. But how do you think that's going to impact some of these teams once we get the hot weather?
I think it's going to slow down the pace of the game. That's the problem, because some teams are not used to the hot weather. I think the only real time I've seen a huge factor of it was Belgium actually against Egypt. It was an unusually hot day in Seattle. I think the warmest day they had there in like 30 years this time of year. And Belgium really suffered. They were baked. So yeah. I think it's going to take anything sort of in the, when we get to in the 90s, that's when these European teams or the teams that are not used to such a heat could struggle, slow the pace of the game down. And for me, that's when we don't get as many goals. That's how I see it there. That's when the unders might strike.
Thanks, my man. We'll be watching the podcast. Thanks for a few good minutes. We'll catch up with you soon. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care. See you soon.
Steve Wiss on the Progressive Guest Line, Because We Win pod every morning at 11 Eastern. Gets the day started with Nigel with the World Cup. One more pick Sunday morning, Belgium, Iran over 2.5 goals he likes as well. Fireworks early, 2-0 Canada, 40 minutes in, and a man sent off. A red card for Qatar. So it's all over but the crying here in this one from Vancouver. Up next, what we're betting. JJ give us some good baseball plays, and with a New York angle and a New York state of mind, plus a special visit from Luke, the producer. He's got a great article up at vsin.com. He's going to run down all his bets and recommend how to play USA tomorrow, coming up on Follow the Money.